Hey everyone, this is Leanne from Of Love and Shiplap and the founder of Subthat Tutorials and More. Please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss out on any new videos, and check the video description for a link to the new Subthat US mobile learning library where you can access all of our free tutorials neatly organized, as well as gain access to exclusive content like our Affinity masterclasses and exclusive communities. This has been a popular tutorial request, and it is going to be how to generate multiple mockups quickly for any design in Affinity Designer. You can do everything that we're doing today in both version 1 and version 2 of Affinity Designer. We're going to start by opening up an artboard in our software. You'll come to File and New or New Document, and you're going to create an artboard that is whatever the dimensions are of where you plan on putting this mockup graphic. So if you sell regularly on Etsy or Shopify, you may have a certain size requirement that they have listed. If you're just posting on social media, you could do 1000 pixels by 1000 pixels. Be sure to check whatever platform you're planning on using for the best sizes and use that as your guide. You're going to set your dimensions underneath the Layout tab. They're usually in pixels. If you don't see the pixel option, just look to where it says Document Units and select pixels from the drop-down. Anything that you're putting online, especially mockups, you want to keep at a low resolution to help combat digital design theft. You can simply do this by choosing 96 dpi. Next, you're going to check mark the option to create an artboard. Because these graphics are for online use only, we want to make sure that our color format is set to that RGB/8 with our color profile as the most current option, which is the sRGB IEC 61966-2.1. You can choose to have a transparent background or not, totally personal preference as far as that goes. When you have all of your settings ready, click Create to open that new document. Now, you can set up as many artboards as you would like in this document, and I recommend doing however many you're going to need to create multiple mockups. Not all designs work on all substrates, but many do work on multiple substrates, and people are often looking to be able to quickly generate all of those mockups and export them at once. I would say something like a t-shirt design may also be able to be used on a coffee mug and a pillow. So I'm going to create 3 artboards. You want 1 artboard for each product type that you plan on having, or each mock-up photo that you plan on having. So if you sell t-shirts and you want to showcase 7 different colors of t-shirts, you would have 1 artboard for each color of t-shirt. So you're just going to go ahead and duplicate your artboards by coming to your layers panel, selecting where it says artboard 1, right click and choose duplicate, or use Control Command J. It's going to duplicate it right on top, so you then need to click and drag to move it off so that it's actually separate from the original one. And then you can just repeat the steps, Control Command J, or right click and duplicate in the layers panel. Next, you want to name each one of these artboards based on what you plan on putting on there. So red t-shirt, gray t-shirt, white t-shirt, or t-shirt, mug, throw pillow. Whatever it's going to be easy for you to remember. Also, if you're doing something like promotional graphics and mockups, you might want to have one that's a mockup, one that's a promotional graphic. There's a lot of ways that you can use this. You're going to set it up to whatever works for you. And chances are that you'll end up like me, where I have a variety of files that are set up like this for different intended uses. For example, I have one that I use for the banners on all of our video tutorials, and it has like 4 different layouts. One's for social media, one's a reel cover, one's a YouTube Shorts cover, one's the video cover for YouTube itself, one's the promotional graphic for social media. And then all I have to do is change out the product photo and the title and export them all. So you can set everything up however you would like. You can adjust the dimensions of each artboard however you would like. A lot of versatility in this particular process. So I'm just going to go ahead and name mine. You can click on the name in your layers panel to rename those layers. So I'm going to do this because this will be easy. Next, we want to import our mockup photo, as in the blank product photo that we are using. You can use the Photoshop Smart Objects if you would like. Keep in mind that the Smart Object functionality doesn't actually work in Affinity Designer or Photo, but you'll have the layers where you can put your image. I'm just focusing on the flat layout option because that is the most common of what's used. So I'm going to import my flat layout for each one of these, a t-shirt, a mug, and a pillow. I want to make sure that I'm actually putting things on the artboard, and this is going to require you to pay attention to your layers panel and the steps you are taking. So if I select my mockup t-shirt artboard, that means that whatever I import should add to that specific artboard. So I'm going to select my place image tool, which is this little photograph looking icon in the left side panel. And I will come to my mockups, t-shirts, fall t-shirts, and I'm just going to select one of these that I like. We'll do this guy here. When you see that downward arrow with the portal, you know that you are able to add something to your canvas. You're just going to click and drag to add it. Now, I cover artboards in the Affinity Designer Masterclass, and I really kind of go into all the different ways that you can use them and whatnot. But a few quick things to understand. Anytime you import something, you want to be sure that it is actually on the artboard that you want it on. You can verify this by looking in your layers panel. Your artboard should always show a drop down arrow, and you can see that, like this, for example, is in that layer. We want to be cautious of this because let's say that this is above here. Now it's not in our artboard, but when we're looking at this, it's still visible on the artboard. That's because it does in fact still exist in our entire document. But if we were to export this artboard right now, it would be empty because the graphic itself is not in there. When you're using artboards, you should not see anything extending past the perimeter of the artboard itself. If there's anything past the perimeter, it means it's not on the artboard. So I'm going to click and drag to drag that back into the artboard. Anytime you need to clip something into another layer, even an artboard, you simply long hold on your mouse to that layer and then bring it to the layer it's supposed to go inside of, and make sure that the tip of your cursor is touching the name of that layer. See how it's touching the word mockup, release, and it will be inside. Very easy one-step clipping. I showed this in most videos. It is just really easy to do, and the most versatile thing you can end up doing in here because you can clip just about anything into anything. If you want to adjust the placement or location of your PNG layer, you do need to make sure that you actually have that layer selected, not the artboard layer. When you have the artboard layer selected, it's going to move the entire artboard. So I'm going to grab that fall t-shirt layer, and I'm just going to adjust this a little bit. I want to shrink it down so we see a little bit more of the shirt and background and center it. So I'm happy with that. Let's head on over to Mockup Mug, and same step. We're going to select the artboard, choose our place image tool, go up and find our mug mockups. There's a nice fall one. Select open. When I get that downward arrow in the portal, I can click and drag to resize it, and then I can simply adjust it. Again, making sure that it does in fact show inside of my artboard and that I know that it is accurately placed. And last but not least, our mock-up pillow. All of my mock-up photos are from Etsy. I don't think I have any ones that I didn't buy from Etsy, except for like some doormats I took a picture of. For the most part, I buy all of mine on Etsy. There are so many amazing photographers that just do product photography like this, and you can find tons of versatile options, and that is what I love. I can always find something for any theme, any product, and so on. So now we have all three of our artboard bases set up and ready to go. The next thing I'm going to do is import my design. So the first time that you do this, you're going to have to follow the steps that I'm doing. But I'm going to show you then that you don't have to redo all of these steps every single time. So let's say today I was going to do a whole bunch of fall designs and I wanted to be able to quickly mock up all of these designs in 3 different ways. So I'm going to start by importing my design. This is my first design ever, right? Because I'm just setting up this file for the first time. So I've got my mock-up shirt artboard selected. Again, making sure we have the artboard selected, not the layer and not no layers. I'm then going to select the place image tool and I'm going to go ahead and grab a graphic. So I'll just come on in here, see what we got. Anything that's really good? Some of these really are only good on like one type of substrate. All right, let's try this one. So we're importing this. This is on our t-shirt layer first. So I'm going to click and drag, get it where I want it to be, size it, you know, the works. Always remember that whenever you're doing a mock-up, you do want to make sure that your sizing is realistic to what it would look like printing, so that you're giving your customer a realistic perception of the finished product. I see a lot of people who do designs like this in their mock-ups and they make it like this big, and that's not a realistic perception of what this is going to look like when it's done. However, this is a bit more realistic. I mean, it's still going to be a pretty sizable design, but it's not going to overpower the shirt, I should say. I want to make sure my placement's on point as well. Good. When you import your graphic, you want to set the blend mode to multiply. So up here in the layers panel at the top where you have this drop down, you're going to select multiply. And what this does is it just picks up any texture that your photo has for the substrate item. Not all of them will show the texture very well. For example, this shirt, it really doesn't have a lot of texture just because of the lighting in which this photo was taken. But I want to make sure that this looks as realistic as possible, so I am going to also decrease the opacity. I find that using about 90% opacity works on every single product photo and just helps it look a bit more realistic. With that first option set, you are next going to select your symbol panel. If you are using version 1 of Affinity Designer, the symbol panel is located under the View tab. You're going to come to View, Studio, and then select Symbol. In version 2 of Affinity Designer, it's underneath the Window tab. So you're going to come to Window and you're going to find Symbols and select that option. You want to select your PNG digital file layer right here, and you are going to select Create. Now you have created this into a symbol. You'll know it's a symbol because it shows this orange line next to it and it has a little drop down group. Next, I'm going to right click on that and I'm going to duplicate it. Now put it right on top in that same artboard, but I actually want it on my mug next. So I'm just going to drag it across over to my mug itself. Be sure to pay attention to your layers panel and make sure it actually did jump to the mug grouping for your mug mock-up artboard, or whatever you have yours named as, in the layers panel. It doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes it actually pops out. Again, we always want to make sure everything is clipped inside of our layers panel. Now with it grouped close like this, so the arrow is doing the little greater than symbol, you want to make sure that's what it looks like, not the down arrow. For that symbol, you can go ahead and resize and adjust this however you need on your next product photo blank. And then you're going to repeat the same thing on your other ones. So I just have my pillow left, so I'm going to right click and duplicate. I'm going to drag that one over to my pillow, making sure that it's actually in that artboard. It is. Fantastic. And resize this however I need. So I'm just rotating it just a little bit. I don't know if this pillow is straight on or not, but good. I think that looks good. All right. So the reason why it's very important that you make sure that anytime you adjust one of these, you're doing it with the groups closed is because then you're able to modify this individually. So I can resize this individually when I have the group closed. But when you have that group open and you actually have the PNG layer selected, everything that you do to that is going to do it to all of them. So if we resize this, it resizes it on each artboard. So just something to be aware of as you are playing around with this. Now you can continue on adding layers to each one of your mockups. Maybe you want to add a do not copy layer, like a watermark. Maybe you want to add your logo. You can add each one of those things into your artboards however you want, just as their own layer groups. You don't have to actually, you don't have to create a symbol for that. You only create a symbol for things that you know you're going to want to change, and you want to change on all of them. So chances are, if you're making mockups and you're putting your logo on it, your logo is always kind of in the same place, or your logo is always the same is what I should say. And so you're not trying to change that across all of them. You're just going to have one logo. It's basically the same as your background photo. Your background photo is remaining the same and being in the same placement. So if we just didn't want this background photo, if we wanted a different coffee mug, we would just deselect that one and bring in a new mock-up photo. You can have as many things on your artboards as you want. We're really just focusing on the design aspect of it. So you would then put your watermark over top, your logo, all of those things in your artboard layers and making sure they're all grouped into your artboards. Once you have that set, first and foremost, make sure that you go to File and Save As. You want to save the Affinity file. That way you can always open this back up and change out your designs and quickly export. So the setup process that I just walked you through, that whole thing will probably take you 15 minutes, maybe 20. So you're going to save as. This will open up your File Explorer and give you an opportunity to save this Affinity source file. I always save all mine with whatever they are _ mockup. So this would be like fall products _ mockup. Next, you're going to come to the export persona, which is this like box with the arrow coming out of it at the top of your left hand of your screen. This is going to create a slice. That's what this blue box represents, a slice out of each one of your artboards. A slice will export as an individual PNG file or whatever file format you choose, but we're going with PNG because that's the default settings and that's what we have this set up as. You can see your slices over here where it says slices, and let's say that you're exporting this but you're not using the mug this time. You can just deselect the mug option by selecting that little circle right there, and the mug mockup is not going to export. You'll notice that when I have it selected, this says export 3 slices. When I deselect, it says export 2 slices. Next, you're going to go ahead and select export slices, and it's going to ask you, or it's going to pop open your File Explorer and ask you to select a folder. So I'll select my I Put a Spell on You folder and choose export. Now within this folder, if I go to File and Open, there are my 3 mockups. We're going to select back over on our designer persona. Every time you want to use your same selection of mockups and you want to just change out the design, you will literally open up this Affinity Designer formatted file. It should be .af file when you go to that File Save As option. You're going to open up any one of the symbol layers. It does not matter. You're going to select the actual PNG file in the group, and then you're going to come to where it says Replace Image. And then you'll just go pick another design. So if I then come to Good Morning Pumpkin and select this one and select Open, it has now replaced it on each one. Now you may still have to do some adjusting if the designs are not the same dimension. For example, right here on this mug, I do see that because that other design was wider than it was tall, and this one is taller than it does wide, I do need to just resize it a little bit. And I mean, this one's fine. I probably could resize this a little bit too. And that one, I think I just need to kind of nudge it up. It'll really just depend on the designs. I don't usually have to do a lot of this type of modifications because I make designs in certain ratios for certain purposes. Like I intend that a coffee mug design can be put on different types of drinkware and maybe t-shirts, or that a pillow design could also be used on a doormat or a garden flag. So like a lot of those things don't require a lot of editing like this does. But that's all you have to do. You're going to select that. You're going to select replace image. It'll swap out your images, edit if you need to edit, and then come back to that export persona, click on export slices once again, select your folder, export, and I already saved this, but it'll just export those again. And if we come to file and open, you can see that I have those 3 mockups. Really easy to generate multiple mockups at once. It honestly does not take a lot of time and effort. Like I said, you'll spend about 15 minutes getting your initial setup done, and you can have as many of these artboards as you want. You can put as many layers on there in terms of logos or text or whatever over top. And then all you're going to do is utilize that symbol tool. You can utilize the symbol tool with any PNG layer or text layer that you would like. And that way, if you want to have a certain text that always changes across each one, you can, same thing, select your symbol panel, select the layer, select create the symbol, and it will create it. And then when you change one, it will change all of them. So quick and easy. The symbol tool has a lot of really cool uses. This is just one of them. But this has been a common request, is how to create multiple mockups at once. And that's how you do it. So if you have questions, be sure to post them in the Sublimation or Affinity Designer help channels inside of the Subthat US app. And we look forward to seeing that. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and have a great rest of your day.